You think you know everything about UFC fighters, right? You see them stepping into the octagon, throwing punches, getting bloodied up, and walking away with the title or another paycheck. But trust me, there's a lot more to these warriors than what's shown on TV. There are shocking facts about UFC fighters that will totally change the way you look at them. Get ready for some jaw-dropping truths. Let's start with the obvious. These guys and gals are tough. I mean, they literally put their lives on the line every time they step into that cage. But here's the kicker. Many of them don't make as much money as you think. Sure, the top dogs like Conor McGregor or Khabib Nurmagomedov rake in millions, but the majority of UFC fighters aren't living the high life. In fact, most are scraping by, getting paid a fraction of what you'd expect considering the amount of pain they endure in the ring. The average fighter's salary? Around $12,000 per fight. And that's before they even have to pay coaches, managers, trainers, and all the other costs associated with being a fighter. Now let me ask you this. Have you ever thought about the fact that UFC fighters actually spend a lot of time injured? Yep, it's true. When you watch them fight, you're seeing only a tiny part of the picture. Between fights, they're recovering from injuries that the public never sees. Broken bones, torn ligaments, concussions. It's a regular part of their lives. Some fighters spend more time in physical therapy than in the ring, trying to heal up for the next big match. In fact, many fighters have long-term injuries that follow them for the rest of their lives. Some even retire early because their bodies simply can't take it anymore. So, next time you see a fighter getting knocked out, just remember they're walking away with a whole lot more than just bruises. But here's something that'll really blow your mind. UFC fighters aren't just fighters, they're also businessmen and entrepreneurs. A lot of them have their own businesses, personal brands, and sponsorship deals. Take someone like Ronda Rousey. Not only did she dominate in the octagon, but she also made a name for herself in Hollywood. And she's not alone. Fighters have learned that relying solely on fight pay is risky. They need to diversify. And while you may think it's just a few top names, a lot of fighters are savvy enough to build brands and businesses that last long after their fighting days are over. It's also worth noting that not every fighter comes from a background that screams success. A lot of them come from difficult, even tragic upbringings. Take Nate Diaz, for example. He grew up in a tough neighborhood in Stockton, California, with little money and a lot of hardships. His success in the UFC didn't come easy. Fighters like him often come from backgrounds where the odds are stacked against them. But that's what makes their rise to the top even more impressive. They fought harder in life before they even stepped foot in the octagon. And here's something that you probably didn't know. UFC fighters are some of the most disciplined athletes out there. It's not all about throwing punches and kicks. These fighters have some of the strictest training regimens you could imagine. They train multiple times a day, pushing their bodies to the absolute limit. It's not just about physical strength either. A lot of it is mental toughness. UFC fighters have to be as mentally tough as they are physically. They spend hours working on their game, studying their opponents, and sharpening their skills. And let's not forget about their diets. Fighters often have to cut weight to make the required limit for their weight class, which means extreme dieting and dehydration before weigh-ins. It's grueling, and most fans have no idea what these athletes go through to get to the fight. But wait, there's more. UFC fighters face a ton of pressure from fans, media, and even the promotion itself. While the spotlight can bring fame and fortune, it also comes with its fair share of stress. Fighters are under constant scrutiny. Their every move is watched, analyzed, and criticized. And let's not forget about the mental toll it takes on them. Fighters have to deal with anxiety, pressure, and the fear of losing. Many of them suffer from mental health issues as a result of the constant pressure they're under. It's not all glamour and glory, and the mental health struggles of UFC fighters often get overlooked. Now, I want to take a moment to thank you for reading this. Seriously. It takes curiosity and an open mind to dive deeper into the world of UFC fighters. Not everyone realizes the sacrifices and hard work these athletes go through. So just by learning about their struggles and realities, you're showing that you care and are ready to see them in a new light. Thank you for giving them that respect. Here's a really interesting fact. Many fighters don't actually fight for the money. While the pay can be great for some, a lot of fighters are doing it for the love of the sport. They train because it's their passion, and fighting is often a way of life for them, even when they could be making money in other careers. Some of the best fighters, think of people like Georges St. Pierre, fight because they truly love the challenge. For them, it's about proving they're the best, not just about the paycheck. Another shocking truth is how UFC fighters often sacrifice their personal lives. Many of them miss out on family time, relationships, and normal experiences because they're so dedicated to their sport. They have to constantly make sacrifices to stay on top. Their entire focus is on training, dieting, and preparing for their next fight, which means they often give up important moments with loved ones. It's not an easy life, but for them, it's all part of the journey. And here's a fact that might surprise you. UFC fighters are actually some of the most down-to-earth people you'll ever meet. You might expect someone who's trained to be a professional fighter to be cocky or arrogant, but the majority of them are humble, respectful, and incredibly disciplined. They know the price of success and how hard it is to get there. And most of them will tell you that they never forget where they came from, no matter how high they rise. UFC fighters are living proof that with determination, hard work, and a lot of sacrifices, anything is possible. They are more than just athletes. They are warriors, entrepreneurs, and survivors. Their stories aren't just about winning titles or making money. They're about overcoming obstacles, facing fears, and constantly pushing themselves to be better. They may be tough in the ring, but they're even tougher outside of it. So next time you watch a UFC fight, remember there's so much more to these athletes than just the fight. They've got stories, struggles, and a whole world outside of the octagon that you might never see. But that's what makes them so incredible. They're not just fighters, they're heroes in their own right.